Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvasesha Sunyavari Pastacha Deshatarane Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we'll go on number 44. Getting close to the end.
Yeah.
Prabhavyasena tenaiva hridete vasopisam jigyasu apiyogasya sabha brahmati vartate. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of scripture. Smita, you want to read a little bit of the purport?
Sure, Maharaj. Advanced yogis are not very much attracted to the rituals of the scriptures, but they automatically become attracted to the yoga principles, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness, the highest yoga perfection. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, such disregard of Vedic rituals by the advanced transcendentalist is explained as follows. Is it okay if I skip the Sanskrit, Maharaj?
Yeah, if you feel more comfortable that way, it's okay.
Okay. O my Lord, persons who chant the holy names of your Lordship are far, far more advanced in spiritual life, even if born in families of dog-eaters. Such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifices, bathed in all sacred places, and finished all scriptural studies. The famous example of this was presented by Lord Chaitanya, who accepted Thakur Haridas as one of his most important disciples. Although Thakur Haridas happened to take his birth in a Muslim family, he was elevated to the post of Namacharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principle of chanting 300,000 holy names of the Lord daily. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life, he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of the Vedas, known as Shabda Brahma. Unless, therefore, one is purified, one cannot take to the principles of Krishna consciousness or become engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So, anyone have anything from this? This is pretty amazing. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous birth. I personally don't remember mine. Anybody remember their previous birth? But we do pick up where we left off. That's the thing. In other words, our ability to understand, our ability to engage in the devotional service is by virtue. It doesn't say by memory, it says by virtue. It doesn't say by memory of his previous life. Any thoughts or any, what do you call it, reflections or takeaways from verse 44?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Can I?
Yes, Gayatri. You can turn your camera on. Yeah.
Okay.
This
Can I ask a question?
You can turn your camera on. We're making everybody, requesting everyone turn their cameras on.
So I want to ask a question.
Sure.
So in the last sentence, it's about unless therefore one is purified, one cannot take to the principles of Krishna consciousness or become engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna. So how do we understand this line? So unless one is purified, we cannot take to the principles of Krishna consciousness. So we are not purified.
Yeah, you are purified, otherwise you couldn't.
So we are not purified.
You are purified, otherwise you couldn't
Really?
chant Hare Krishna. you are purified. The fact that
But we still find so many anarthas within ourselves, and so we're still so contaminated.
like the verse that is in the Bhagavatam, that persons, oh my Lord, aha, aho bata, oh my Lord, right? Persons who chant the holy name of your lordship are far, far advanced in spiritual life, even if born in a family of dog eaters. Such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifice, bathed in all sacred places, and finished all scriptural studies. In other words, they've done everything in their past lives. They've done so much in their past life that in this lifetime, we're given the privilege to be able to chant the holy names. This is all due to our previous our activities in our previous life. And it's like it's kind of like destiny, or like Bhishma says, like the whole battle of Kurukshetra and his being on the part of fighting on behalf of the Kauravas. He said it was destiny. You know, he made that vow that I will always protect the throne of Hastinapur. But even though the bad guys, Duryodhana and Dushasana and these people were there, so Bhishma said, due to providence. So that providence is our previous activities. And so it's not like in this lifetime you have to do that. It's in our previous lifetimes. We've already come to the point where we're purified enough, or we are elevated, but we're actually come to the point where in this lifetime we chant the holy names of the Lord. Because here it says he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles even without seeking them. Some people were seekers, some people weren't seekers in the Hare Krishna movement, but as soon as something clicked, something happened, then all of a sudden they're ready to engage in the chanting of the holy name. Rajabhumi, we're seeing the light on the top of your. We would rather see you. The Bangla, we can't see you either. We're starting to establish everybody has to have their camera on unless something's going on that we shouldn't see.
Sorry, Maharaj, my battery is dying, so I'm trying to find a spot here. I apologize.
We're all dying. Don't worry, it's not just your fault. Gary Dari Swami asked me yesterday, he says, you think we're getting, because Nitai Charan's sister's turning 30 years old on Sunday, and he said, you think we're getting old? I used to play, kick the ball with her when she was like 2 and 3 years old. Now she's 30. What happened to those 25 years? Where'd they go? And so, yeah, we're all moving on. But that's what the meaning is, Gayatri, is that it's not that we have to purify in this lifetime, and it's not that and the fact that we're here means we haven't completely become pure. We haven't hit if we became fully pure, we wouldn't be here. So we have some remnants of our contamination from our previous activities. In this lifetime, we have the opportunity to correct that situation and come into a proper state of consciousness where we don't forget Krishna at the time of death and have to take birth again.
Okay.
Any other takeaways, or what do you call it, reflections from verse 44 of chapter 6?
Guru Maharaj, I have a question.
Sure.
In the purport, the first line says, advanced yogis are not very much attracted to the rituals of the scriptures, but they automatically become attracted to the yoga principles. One day I hope to become a pujari, and I'm just curious, is deity worship, is that considered just ritual?
No. I was just listening to something where Prabhupada said it's a necessity. It's a necessity. We don't want to make deity worship ritualistic. We want to make deity worship part of our Sankirtan program, where we utilize deity worship so it regulates our lives, keeps us clean, keeps us regulated, so that we can remain in the mode of goodness, so we can, because purity is a force for spreading Krishna consciousness. So deity worship is actually very much important for that, but we don't want to get caught up in too much ritualistic performance of those types of things, which can happen, not always, can happen. And so.
How do you differentiate? I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, George.
How do you differentiate between?
Yeah, in other words, like Bear Krishnamars, what was it? Was it on this class? We're asking everybody to turn their cameras on in Guru Bhakti if it's convenient for you. If it's not, that's okay. I know you have to do something. Like Bear Krishnamars one time said that, you know, they have certain rules, like when you do wash, when you're, oh, you have your hand up, we'll call on you in a second. Is your hand up? Duta? Yeah, I'll call you and I'll answer I'll let you say whatever you want to say just as soon as I finish, George. Just like Bear Krishnamars was it with this group, somebody mentioned it, or was it another class? And he said Bear Krishnamars, when he got Brahmin initiation, they told him you have to go on the altar and so many times on the feet, so many times on the waist, so many times on the head, and then so many times, 7 times around. And he ended up just like counting and not even looking at the feet, not looking at the abdomen, not looking at Krishna's face, and just like just ended up counting, which is in one sense a ritualistic activity, but in another sense, the deity worship is meant to be punctual, and it's meant to be regulated, and it's meant to be clean. Those 3 things are meant. Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shingara. I sing it every morning. I can't, why can't I sing it now? And so that regulation should be there, but the regulation shouldn't, what would you say, be the main thing. It should be taking care of Krishna so that the devotees can be.
Maharaj, you got muted by mistake. Sorry.
Wait, how far did I go? Just a couple of seconds? Or?
Yeah, just a couple of seconds.
Yeah. So the whole thing is ours is a Sankirtan movement. Ours is an outreach movement. If we're not reaching out, and we're not reaching in, we have to reach in to reach out. And we have to reach out to reach in. It actually goes both directions. Sounds like a Beatles song or something like that. And I knew that would make Lavangla smile. So, and so the idea is not to get caught in the ritualistic. So there are so many rituals, just like when we opened the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan. Prabhupada got the local Brahmins to perform the ritualistic, what would you say, activities or ritualistic, what would you call them? What do you call those things? The parts of the puja, you have to do a sprinkle 6 times here, 14 times there, 85 times over here. Have to do all the, you got to do like this, you got to do like this, have to do all these different things. And it's not that they're not important, but Prabhupada said that what installed the deity was the kirtan that the devotees performed. But we did it, we had the Brahmins of Vrindavan do it so that they would accept us as both bona fide. And so when it interferes with our what would you say, outreach, I would like to keep it simple, very, very simple. In the beginning, Panchatattva, very, very simple, Panchatattva picture. Most temples that had a Panchatattva picture. After a while, we got little Gauranitai deities. And then slowly Prabhupada brought Radha Krishna over. And a lot of the rituals, anyway, I think we know what they are. They're just rituals, ritualistic principles. Aduta, you had your hand up. Is that your name, Duta? That's what it says there.
Yes, it's Dada.
Dada.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. But that's just my family name. That's
Oh,
what my
okay.
family calls me. Yeah, Hanan and Natasha know me as Lasagna. But anyway, I just had a reflection. That's all. When
Good.
I when I looked at the part where it says that even if you're born in a family of dog eaters, that you can still be one who's called to chant the holy names of Hare Krishna. And just my reflection was just kind of about myself because none of my family knows about Krishna consciousness. And so just the fact that it doesn't matter what you're born into, you can be one who is called to practice Krishna consciousness and know Lord Krishna. So that's pretty amazing, I think.
Yeah, very generous, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because, I grew up, in the Baptist church and everything.
Yeah.
So I can't think of anyone in my family or where I work or anything like that who knows about the Bhagavad Gita or, Lord Krishna, any of those things. I don't even think I could tell them about it anyway, but
Yeah, but it's nice.
that's just a reflection I
That's a
had.
good one. Yeah, it's nice to be. We try to be inclusive. We try to be inclusive. In other words, there's no one's barred. Anybody can come in, and it needs to be more and more emphasized. That emphasis. We don't want to become. We don't want to have the mentality that we're better than other people just because we chant Hare Krishna. We're meant to think that we're the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. And we're even servants of the Christians. There's even Prabhupada said that Jesus was our group. Somebody asked Prabhupada, should we put Jesus on the altar? He says, no, not like that. Not like that. But the fact that he spread knowledge, to a certain class of people at a particular time, to love God, love God, love thy neighbor like you love yourself, right? Is one of the main commandments that one Christian preacher that Prabhupada was having a conversation with was there. Who probably appreciated those things. And yeah, even in Iran, when Prabhupada went to Iran, he said, just let them chant Allah. Let them chant Allah. If that's more convenient for them. If that's easier. In other words, just let them enter wherever they can enter. So very, very, very nice. It's nice to be invited, isn't it? I hope our
Yes.
society can become more and more inviting, excuse me, we can become more inviting
And
and have that mentality.
yeah, because Jesus taught and he still was rejected.
Yeah.
People can hear, but they may still reject it.
Yeah. It doesn't take much. We've seen it. So many people, new people coming, and just one little thing off. It's very, very hard to dedicate yourself to spiritual life fully. It takes. It's really. It's a challenge. It's a challenge, because if you see any type of hypocrisy, that's not word, any type of, like hypocrisy, you see. I always give the example of my 8th grade physical education teacher, who was also he taught us health, and he taught us driver's education. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it was quite humorous. We used to see him. He had this. This was like 1965, and he had a brand new 1965 Ford Galaxy 500, which is like shiny, like burgundy color, fancy car. And he was a huge guy. He was like over 6 feet. We used to call him the polar bear because he was so big. And he'd be leaning in his car, and it had like these dual exhausts. It was all, and he was always revving it up. And he'd be driving around like this, going kind of like they do nowadays. Like the kids, they're all slumped down, And then he's reading the driver's education book, and it says you have to have your hands at 10 and 4. And somebody raised, we were always afraid of getting beat by him because he was like one of the teachers that used to beat us. And so one of the kids raised hand, Mr. Roth, that's not how you drive. And he said, don't do as I do, do as I say. And so we want to do what we do, and we want to do what we say. And if we do what we say, then people will actually become, it'll feel inviting. It'll feel inviting if we can do that. It's a very important point. Very important point for spreading, spreading the movement is to have that type of compassion. Anyone else get anything from this fourth verse of the 6th chapter they'd like to share with us? Did you catch up with us, Lavanda, on that one? Or I saw you pull your book up.
Yeah, I pulled my book out, and I pulled out John's book too.
Okay.
I really love reading his purport to Prabhupada's purport. Really helped a lot.
Anything from that you can share from Burjan's book that you wanted to share, or something else?
It was pretty much the same thing. Sometimes it's just kind of backs up, and kind of just says exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was struck by just that first line, by virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. It's just, I just know that's pretty cool for me.
You had two on now, Braj. Okay.
Oh no, I only have one on right now.
No, I was Brajabhumi. Yeah, Brajabhumi.
Just that way, I just know for myself, and also talking to other devotees, it really does feel like we're picking up where we left off. It's like to me, it is proof that we are picking up where we left off, because it's like even when you try to, like, I know I came like when I was 17, and then I tried to not be a devotee for a long time, and I could never not be a devotee.
Yeah.
And so it just shows to me that we're just picking up where we left off. It's just how it feels. There's no other way to explain it.
Yeah. Destiny. As we were talking in the beginning of the class, like Bhishma said, it was all destiny. What can I do? I was on the side of the Kauravas, but it's all destiny. You're meant to be in charge, but what? This destiny is there.
Yeah. So.
Why all of a sudden, out of nowhere? I mean, like I'm reading that book on the what's it called? It has the whole name, but it's like Prabhupada's love for Prabhupada's lady disciples, women disciples. What's the whole title?
Oh.
It's called give me a second here. It's called Bond of Love. Bond of Love. Srila Prabhupada and his daughters. I'm in the R's now. It goes alphabetical order. So, and the cool thing is, I know like 50% of them or more, and like some of them, they're like kids. They're 11 years old. Girls are 11 years old, and they come from a carnivore family, and all of a sudden they decide to be vegetarians, and their parents are like, thinking they're going to die. Like my mom thought I was going to die when I became a vegetarian. She actually wanted me to go to a psychiatrist, but that's another thing. But we were just like determined. Like my mother was like so freaked out just by becoming a vegetarian, and that was just like. Then when I joined the movement, it was like, this is the best kind of vegetarian to be. When you're 20, now I gotta just eat khichdi all day.
But
Look back, spoons of ghee and 55 different vegetables. But some of them are like 11, 12 years old, 14 years old, just like Harinam party goes by. And immediately they're just, okay, that's it. Just It's like instantaneous. Anyone else? Nanteshwar?
Yeah, Maharaj. I remember in Pune temple we have, I know a brahmachari devotee who joined the temple um, as a driver to drive the car. He was from a village, and gradually he developed so much interest. He wasn't literate that much to read. After a few
He
years,
he was hired as a driver, or he joined
yeah,
the temple? Yeah, he
he,
hired,
yeah,
yeah.
and after a few years, that guy decided to be a brahmachari. So he gave up the driver.
Whoop, your voice isn't working. It says it's on, but it stopped.
Is it? Am I audible now?
Yeah, now it's working. So he gave up he shaved up, became a brahmachari.
Yeah, and then after a few years, I saw him like he was giving Bhagavatam lectures.
Yeah.
And when I come to US, that time one day I saw online this guy. He was giving a lecture in one temple in India, and that too in English.
Ah,
So I called him and I said, "Where did you learn English?" He said, "I learned from Prabhupada's book." And then I was like, I told him that it's 100% guaranteed that this is not from this birth,
yeah,
from the last birth.
yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't come that easy.
Yeah.
Doesn't come that easy.
Yes, Maharaj.
Anyone else, or should we do 45?
Yes, Maharaj, we can go on 45 if no one has
Okay.
anything to share.
Pratyatna yatamanastu yogi samsudas klibasa aneka jamasin samsida. You can see how I see this. I see the syllables backwards. Like I said, anyway, I said, ki kill blasi and instead of kill blisa. That's how I see it, and I have to adjust every time as I go. Tatoyati param gatim. And when a yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contamination, and ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. I'll just read the purport because it's short. It's okay, unless we have any expert readers. I can do it. Okay. A person born in a particular religious, aristocratic, or sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. With determination, therefore, he begins his unfinished task, and thus he completely cleanses himself of all material contamination. When he is finally free from all contamination, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the perfect stage of being freed of all contamination. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7:28. Desham tvanam gatam papam jnanam punakarmana te dandva maho nirmukta vajate mam anat advitavata. After many, many births of executing pious activities, when one is completely free from all contamination and from all illusory dualities, one becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Anyone for that verse and purport? Keep on. Let me just read Prabhupada's translation to that verse because it's a little for verse 728. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. That Drita Vrata, determined, well, the Drita Vrata means determined with determination. Any reflections, takeaways, takeouts, what do you want to call them, from verse 45? Yeah, Ananteshwar.
Maharaj, here it talks about the sincere endeavor.
Hmm.
Just like when I know this thing is going to benefit me, I'll try my best to put whatever efforts I can. This is just for common material things. What to speak of spiritual things where it is guaranteed by Krishna. If you do so, then you will come to me and you will never return.
Mm.
So the degree we endeavor sincerely, I believe to that degree Krishna reciprocates with us.
Jayatamam pravajante.
Yes, Maharaj.
As we move towards Krishna, Krishna moves towards us.
Yeah. But there should be the sincerity in
Yeah.
the endeavor.
Yeah, don't have an on and off, you just put it on and don't and forget turning it off. Just forget turning it off.
Yes, Maharaj.
Rajabhumi, your hand is up.
Well, I'm here contemplating and trying to, on 645, with determination, therefore he begins his unfinished task, and thus he completely cleanses himself of all material contaminations. And when he's finally free of all contamination, he attains the supreme perfection. And then I'm reading 728, where he says that after many, many verses executing pious activities, when one is completely from all contaminations, then he becomes engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord. So it's just kind of like, yes, after so many verses, we are fortunate to be here, but then at the same time, we are not. I know I'm not free from all contaminants, but yet, however, I guess I'm just wondering in my mind are we now engaged in that transcendental loving service of the Lord, or is this after?
We're still
from
in,
the conditions and we go back to Godhead.
we're engaged in sadhana bhakti. We're engaged in practicing. We're practicing. It'll happen through that, just like the example is given, just like if you're practicing, say learning how to, you practice the scales on the piano or something, and then eventually you just automatically know how to do it, just automatic through the practicing process. We're practicing devotees. And eventually that practice turns into perfection. But this is why I gave class in the lateral one time. And we were talking of, I don't remember what verse I gave the class on, and somebody was at the end said that, well, this 28th verse of the 7th chapter, where is that? 28th verse of the 7th chapter, where it describes that after persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful lives are completely eradicated and free from dualities and delusion, and they engage themselves in my devotional service with determination. So he was thinking that you had to be at that point, that point of purity to come to Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada explains that in the purport to the 66th verse of the 18th chapter. In the 7th chapter, it was said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of Krishna. Thus, one may think that unless he is free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. For such doubts, it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Krishna, he is automatically freed. There is no need for strenuous effort to free oneself from reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender to him. So that surrender, that idea of surrendering to him, and that's what we're doing. That's the verse I quoted for Nanteshwar, Yeyatamam Prapajante, as one surrenders unto me, I reward them accordingly. And Rita Anandamaharaj translates that word Prapajante, which Prabhupada translates as surrender. Prapajante means to pada, like padayatra, or it means to move forward. It means to move forward. So that moving forward is in a sense moving forward towards Krishna and surrendering ourselves step by step in the process of Krishna consciousness. And so we're doing devotional service, and this counts. This definitely counts. We're doing it, but it's not the same. It's not the same as if we were. I was just reading something. I think I may have put it on the WhatsApp. I'm not sure if I put it on the WhatsApp message or not, but it was stated. It stated like as one continues to practice devotional service. I think it's a creeper. Something about the creeper or something like that. And in the beginning, we're just watering that creeper by hearing and chanting and hearing and chanting, and then that creeper begins to grow. And that hearing and chanting continues in the spiritual world. But the idea is that through that process, I think in what I was reading for that day was that one can achieve that even when they're in body, when we're still within this material body, like this R.T. Swami or Brajabhumi or Nantesh, we're in this body, we can actually experience Krishna face to face at a certain point. Material body doesn't keep us from that. If we are fully tuned in to the heart and Krishna in the heart and our eternal relationship, that eternal relationship slowly becomes revealed. And so, yeah, we're doing devotional service, but we're doing so in regulation, in regulations. He says through that regulated devotional service, it's like doing the scales on the piano, and then pretty soon after you do the scales, and you can do a few other things. And so we slowly progress. And we've come to the point where we've undergone, as the previous verse said, aho batas pacho to gadiyan. In other words, like even if you're born in a family of dog eaters, if you have that sin that's still on your heart, but if you've engaged in devotional service, then that devotional service overcomes that, and one will pick up no matter. And Prabhupada gives the analogy that Haridas Thakur was born in his Muslim family. It's not that we have anything against Islamic teachings. The true teachings, any true religious teaching has some benefit. And so, but because he was chanting the holy name of the Lord in purity. 300,000 names a day of the Lord, which comes out to like 192 rounds or something like that, 192 rounds a day, 10 million names of God a month. But he was considered the Namacharya. Haridas Thakur was appointed by Lord Chaitanya to be the Acharya of the holy name. Not based on anything other than the purity of his chanting, not anything according to his caste or creed or birth or gender or whatever. It doesn't matter. Everyone has equal opportunity. Nanteshwar, anything to add to that? Anyone else for verse 45?
Raj, I had something small to say, but I was just thinking like it's so amazing to think that we've gone through so many lifetimes to be where we are now. And so like we kind of we have like this responsibility to make sure that we utilize this life in the best way, because we could also um go down from where we are now. And so we have like that responsibility to ourselves to continue to endeavor in our best way, because we've come so far.
Mm. Yeah, don't waste. In other words, don't be like a foolish person on payday, spends all his money on payday, and has to like look for scraps. And spend all your money on the day you get paid. You don't think of that. It has to last 2 weeks until the next paycheck comes, or whatever, or the paychecks come for people. And we gotta preserve what we have. Yeah, take care of it. Actually, Krishna consciousness is a rare gift. It's so rare. I've told the story of the Brahmin that heard that Sanatan had a touchstone. Touchstone turns is it bell metal into gold? I think bell metal or iron into gold. And so he went. So this person went to Sanatan Goswami and begged him, and he knew he was charitable. But he said, "I heard you had a touchstone," and he said, "Yeah." And he said, "Can I have it?" He said, "Sure. It's in the garbage. Go find it in the garbage." So he took it, and he was like all excited because he was making so much gold for himself. He was touching all kinds of things, making gold. Then one day, he got home and he said, "Wait a second, why was this in the garbage? If this is the most valuable thing that he has, why did he keep it in the garbage?" So then he went back to Sanatan and said, "Is there something more valuable? Do you have something more valuable than this touchstone?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Can I have it?" And he said, "First, you have to throw the stone into the lake, or what you have to throw the stone so you can never find it again. So and give all your possessions in charity." And he did. Then he went to so he went back to Sanatana Goswami. He handed him his bead bag, gave him a bead bag, and said, "Sit down and chant Hare Krishna. That's the most valuable thing." So if we can understand the value, which is not easy. I mean, I admit, like, I'll be the first one to admit, it's not easy to just only Krishna, only all the time, only Krishna is very, it can challenge one. It can challenge one. And so when we can get that, if we're blessed to get that realization that Krishna consciousness is that which will satisfy the heart fully, and make our society in such a way that we have such a what would you say, network of compassionate and loving devotees, that we never seek anything outside. Never seek anything outside. Anything else from 45? It's only got 10 minutes left, and 46 would probably go a little bit too long. What do you think on page 4? The microphone's not on.
So, Maharaj, in this verse, the verse before it explained that how, because of pious deeds, we are getting this chance to be in devotional service or perform devotional service. And sometimes, as a devotee, they get confused, or they are not sure what would happen after we leave this life. Would there be next life of animal or a bird or a human being? Even though Krishna says that wherever we live, whichever place we live, we start in the next life in a pious house.
Well, I hope. Bharat Maharaj got a deer body, he had to stop at the rest area on the way to taking birth in the Brahmin family. But it was a very special deer because he could remember his previous life. And then as Jadbard, he remembered even both previous lives. I've said this before. One time, one of our devotee friends in Alachua passed away, and Holiness Rita Ananda Maharaj was there, and he said, I get so many people asking me all the time, do you think she went back to God? Or do you think he went back to God? Or do you think? He said, we don't worry about the geography. We don't worry about the species. We don't worry about, because whatever, you know, if we've come to this point where we're surrendering to, and even if the surrender is 5% or 10%, whatever that level of surrender is, that much credit we get, and we're going to be able to start at that level again, serving Srila Prabhupada, serving the disciplic succession, serving Lord Chaitanya in our next lifetime. That's guaranteed. Nehabi Karmanasasti Pachabana. And the little advancement will protect us. We don't have to worry, you know. If I have to take birth as a dog, I don't know, I hope it's Vrindavan. Actually, maybe not. You know, actually, Vrindavan's okay. The dogs get beat pretty bad there, you know. It's a mixed blessing to be a dog in Vrindavan, because they really get the raw end of the deal sometimes. And yeah, so
Yeah.
whatever it is, you know, we don't. You know, we had that. Was it previously? There was that one verse where he says that a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. And one who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. We just did that in number 40. And so we had that confirmation that we'll be in a good position, even if we have to take get off at the exit before we get there. Like Jed Bard had to take the body of a deer. That was actually a benediction because the sages don't discuss confidential parts of the Vedas except amongst themselves. That's one of the things for the ninth offense, is not preach that intimate activities of the activities of the Lord to atheistic or unfaithful people. But in the body of a deer, they just thought, okay, he can hear it. You know, he got to eat the remnants of plate. Try to get the remnants of a sage plate, you'll probably get tackled. They don't usually let you take their remnants. Narada Muni got a special mercy. He was a child, little kid. Okay, take a little kid, he'd take a little, like that. And so we have that there in our lives.
Yeah, Maharaj, the reason I asked this question was, as in my case, as growing up as a child, I was practically in one way raised by the Catholic fathers.
Yeah.
So I remember Father Joe, he used to always tell me, he used to call me next to him and he used to make me sit. He used to give a candy and he used to tell me, my dear son, you please confess if you have committed any sin. Because if you die, you might go to hell. And you might not come back again. So that was, kind of scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, so generally it's like either hell or heaven. There's nothing beyond that.
Mm. That's a Christian tradition. Yeah. This Bishop Spong, he was born in I think Baptist family, and he ended up becoming an Episcopalian bishop. And he says hell's an invention of the church. That version of hell, it's an invention of the church. In other words, to scare people into following the rules of the church and supporting the church. Obviously, was a little bit of the need at the time. And so I saw Lavanga shaking her head when because she went to Catholic school too.
Recovering Catholic. Yeah, I was reading Borijan's commentary, and he was saying that because Prabhupada mentions different kinds of situations you can be born in, righteous, aristocratic, or sacred. And then Borijan keeps saying that rigid practice is more difficult to achieve from birth in a pious family or in a rich family than from a birth with a family of transcendentalists. So what Ananteshwar was saying about, how when how the priest was talking to him, it made me think of when I did come to Krishna consciousness. Even though I was attracted, I still had like my Catholic upbringing and some of those ideas, like, I kind of had to shed some of my thinking of myself as a Catholic. I kind of came in going, oh, I'm a Catholic, which is just, it was just on my conditioning. And so, it was just another label I had to sort of remove from myself to able to embrace Krishna consciousness more fully. It was just part of my path of shedding some of those concepts.
Yeah.
That, the heaven and hell and the damnation and this, like, the fear-based doing things out of fear.
Narada came on. Wow, it's nice. Hare Krishna, Bhagavad.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
You look like blue. You can't see your face.
Yeah, I'm in the dark. I'm in the HEB parking lot. My wife's doing some shopping. I realized that there was a class going on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Naveen Narada still with you?
Yeah, he's back at the house. He's probably asleep by now.
Okay. Yeah, he gets up early to chant.
Yeah.
Anyway, we did 2 verses. I think 2 or 3. What did we do? Did we do 2 or 3? We did 44, 45. We did 2, 44 and 45. Okay. So we're at 26. We're at 8:28 now. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You're not in the dark. You're in the light. You're in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. So thank everyone for attending. And my guess is that we'll meet again next Tuesday, unless there's some holiday. I don't know. I have to look at the calendar.